long haul. A lot of recruiting news, a lot of fun stuff going on. So locking in those 2025 visitors. So it's getting interesting to see what kind of offers they're putting out and who they're lining up to get on campus. So
yeah, so let's get started there with the visitors that the list. What intrigues you? Who do you think are the highlights, and who are you excited about?
yeah, just to start with, I did put a film breakdown out yesterday about Michael Terry. He was the number one athlete in the country and number 8 in the state of Texas, according to 247. And they offered him over a year ago. Nebraska was one of the first to offer him. So this isn't just kind of new momentum. It wasn't an offer that was put out. Now he's coming onto campus. They offered him over a year ago, Garrett McGuire and Matt Rule, and they went out to his basketball game. So it's one of those things. They've kind of built this, foundation there. So there is something to this. And anytime you can lock up an official visit, there's substance to it. Somebody in the comments was just kind of like, shooting for the stars. Dion, you know how Dion is, but shooting for the stars. But one of those things is these guys don't lock up officials, especially when they're this high up, just to lock in officials. They're very strategic with who they visit because they got to use their time wisely. So Michael Terry plays 5 different positions. He's 6'3", 215. He plays 5A ball in the state of Texas. So it's not like the competition is inferior or anything like that. And he plays wide receiver, running back, cornerback, safety. He's their primary kick returner, punt returner, and punter. And so he plays literally everywhere, offense, defense, you name it. He's probably being recruited to Nebraska as a wide receiver. There was a couple of comments that, he had mentioned that they made, he said he felt like they want the best out of him there and wants to see him succeed. And then he said they want me to go to their school, but they want to see me get better as a person and player. They like, to recruit me as a wide receiver, but they think that I could potentially grow. So maybe he could turn into kind of a hybrid tight end type of player. But I think he will primarily be on the offensive side of the ball. But just, he's a track guy, win legal 108300, 1107, win 8 at 1083, and then a win legal 1107, eighth place in the high jump. So a dual sport athlete. 995 yards, 20 touchdowns, 564 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, and a pick 6. So he's just a pure athlete. This was all in the 2023 District 13 5A MVP honor. So that's just the accolades right there. And then when going through the film, it's first off, he's a freak of nature just in his stature and in his size. But when you have a guy who is a freak athletically and a guy who is as gifted as he is, to be able to do everything well, but then also you add the skill set that he has on top of it and some of the techniques that he has on top of it. He's just a very, very, as far as when he's lined up at receiver, when he's lined up outside, he sells everything. Whether he's going on a block or whether he's going on a screen, he lines up consistently the same way, exactly as you want to. Good balance, doesn't cross his hands at the line, gets a good break off the line, and that is able to sell so many different routes for him. And those are the little details that separate good from great receivers is what's your ability to sell a play. There's this old quote that I like, and it's, how you play without the ball determines how much you love your teammates, right? And how he plays without the ball is just how he plays when the ball is coming his direction. So a couple of things like, there's a couple things that he gets away with because of his athleticism, but at his size, those are, he's a little bit, I guess when he's on the line, he's a little bit upright, but he's a tall receiver. Those are some of the things that you're going to expect, but he's more, he's extremely fast for a 6'3" guy. When he gets up to speed, he gets going, but he great off the line, great acceleration. And then the blocking, there was a blocking clip that I pulled up on his film. And, he just blocks with violence and he finishes his blocks. And those are the biggest things you want to see is violence, finish. And he does a really good job of when he is blocking, it's almost like he gets off the ball quicker and attacks the leverage and he's able to get them off balance. He sees the coverages. He sees how the defender's lined up on him and he adjusts accordingly. He's very good at finding soft spots if need be, but just an absolute freak. And he fits exactly what Matt Rule wants in the positionless offense. That's why, I'm really excited about the prospect of him visiting. It's going to be tough because he also wants to lock in a visit with Oregon, of course, Texas. He's on the top 10 Texas most wanted, the Longhorns, Sarkeesian's most wanted people are players, and he's like number 3 on that list. So hopefully it's one of those things where Nebraska has a legitimate chance, and the fact that he wants to line up with Oregon doesn't mean like he's kind of indicating that direction. But we'll see. It's one of those things, as long as Matt Rule has gotten to people on campus, that's been the biggest hurdle, is just getting people to come check it out. And this is what I think fans need to understand, is in the past we weren't getting like guys like this to come visit. We were throwing out offers, yes, but getting them onto campus is a whole different story. And the way that the culture is built right now, and the way that the team is talking and everybody's talking about how the feeling in the building is different, it just indicates that there's a movement there to where some of this talent that we may not get this year, or we may not have got last year, but the momentum's building that direction. And, you're not going to be able to just change it around in one off season. It's just the slow progression of this. But yeah, he's an excellent player. Like I said, he can do it all, and that's exactly the type of guy that they want on this team. So they're going to make a heavy push for him.
Fenway's pushing for Taco Tuesdays. Don't do
Yeah.
that to me. Don't do that to me. Give me 45 minutes here, because if you can just shut up about food, then I can go get something. But
Yeah.
right now, I'm not doing well here. I'm famished. So
I'm starving too. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I don't even have as busy a day as you've had. So
yeah,
no
the
excuses.
problem is some days I got to think well ahead of time, because once it hit about 2:30 today,
Mhm.
once it hit about 2:30 today, um, I thought, okay, I either need to decide like I'm going to eat right now,
Yeah.
or if I'm not, I got to make it all the way through to 8 o'clock, and then, you know,
Yep.
then
Yeah.
I can cut loose. But I got to make it through for like 5.5 hours here, because there's no time.
That's a lot to make it through hungry. So,
So that's what we're shooting for.
yep.
So let's have
Um,
fun for 45 minutes. That'll
let's
make the
do it.
time fly.
Let's
But
do
I
it.
love the breakdowns, Justin. And if there's people watching us tonight that are not noticing, Justin is doing an outstanding job of hitting on a lot of key angles to the 2014 prospects coming out, all that sort of thing. So be looking out for those videos each and every week.
Absolutely. And I appreciate everybody's feedback on those. People have been liking them, so I appreciate everybody who's tuning in for those. But another one I did a film study on was TJ Lateef, the quarterback from Orange Lutheran in California. A little bit smaller than we've seen them kind of go after recruiting wise. Dylan Raiola, of course, they like the big body guys that they're talking about can throw to the wind. He's more of a Danny Kalen size, 6'1", probably about a little sub 200, but that's something that he can fill into that size. One thing I noticed about TJ Lateef's film is he's very good at recognizing shell coverages, whether it be open, closed. He's a very good understanding of identifying man coverages and zone coverages, because it seems like he attacks the soft spots in those zones. Cover 2, he attacks the middle of the field. And cover 4 quarters, he's going to attack those little zones underneath, in the in-betweens of those clouds and those quarters up top. And, in the cover 3 close, he has a good idea of route concepts and what route concepts are going to open up under which coverages. And not only that, he's very poised in the pocket. His feet don't get too crazy. He's very, very set. Every throw he makes, he's set with his base. And like I said, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on her. Glenn Thomas. He said, when you got happy feet, your mind's going crazy, right? So calm feet mean calm mind. So that's one of the things that I noticed, just very poised in the pocket. So 90 rated recruit, I believe, according to On3, and somebody that I think Nebraska is a good shot on. The thing about getting a 2025 quarterback that I felt like was going to be a hurdle is that you have Daniel Kalen, a true freshman, and you have a 5-star Dylan Raiola, true freshman. And so, we missed out on our original 2025 prospect that we wanted to go after, but you got to understand it's going to be a little bit difficult navigating with the quarterback room we have now, because it's going to be hard to get a guy to come, as a true freshman and sit behind a sophomore, a 5-star sophomore, So we'll see how that works. I'm just curious to follow the progress on Latif and just see what headway they're able to make with the quarterback role. Outside of that, I mean, some offensive lineman stuff. Houston Kayana Torres. There's been 2 kind of offers, visitors scheduled for, out of the Hawaii pipeline. It seems to be the Polynesian pipeline is something they're going heavy after, which makes sense. Donovan Raiola's ties in there and stuff like that. So Houston is a interior offensive lineman. First off, I'm from Houston, so I love his name. That I can rock with. But he actually visited last April and wanted to schedule a fall visit, but couldn't. So he's gotten a lot of experience this past year playing, offensive tackle instead of interior offensive line. So, he had said, in quote, it puts him out there fighting guys on an island as opposed to when he's playing center. So it helped him develop his technique a little bit, but he's probably going to go back into the interior. But he spoke, about how comfortable he's getting with the staff, and even that Matt Rule reached out to him before his season started in the preseason and gave him some tips going into the season. And he talked about how much that meant to him. So him and then Aiden Manatai, I'm trying to be better at pronouncing these names, but he's the other summer visitor from Hawaii. So right now they got those 2 locked up, and it's piling up. It's piling up. Like I said before, with a lot of these guys, we're starting to see the trajectory, because you see like Chase Lofton. Okay, Chase Lofton is 6'5", 213, tight end out of Omaha. They're really trying to lock up these tight ends out of the state of Nebraska, because there's a lot of good tight end talent in the state of Nebraska. His brother plays for Kansas State, but looking at his film, he's very good at finding the voids and the soft spots, middle of the field routes, a lot of stuff over the middle, just kind of like if it's not a quick slant, it's a little drag route, or he's going to be finding. They ran against a lot of zone in his film. It's a ton of zone coverage. And so what he does is he doesn't go too high to get to the safeties. He just kind of finds that level behind the linebackers, because, there's opportunities in zone. You take what the defense gives you, and that's what he's really good at. He doesn't try to do too much, but after the ball, you start to see that athleticism show, because he is able to move for a big guy very quickly. 6'5", 213. He's a tall guy, but he's leaner, so he's quicker. But really good, pretty good route running for tight end, standards. He's another one of those guys that probably it's at 213. They would probably line up outside potentially sometimes in goal line situations. So that is one that I believe Nebraska has a very good shot at getting, is Chase Lofton. The offensive line, we offered the number 1 top offensive lineman, but that's just an offer, no visit yet at this point. So somebody asked about him. I'll break him down more if Nebraska can land a visit with him. So that way it's a little bit more looking like we're in a position to land him. And then the other interior offensive line, Marcus Garcia, 6'5", 270 out of Denton, Texas. Looking at his film, really good pad level and drive. One of the things that you notice from him, and it stands out to me because looking at his profile before, he was a shot put and discus guy. So, he was an AAU Junior Olympics winner and discus, and finished 4th in Texas 5A regionals and discus. So that right there was just the indicator that of the power he generates, and it shows because shot put is very much getting a explosive movement to move a heavy weight with little to no load up, and little to no, you're just driving essentially. So you kind of load it up here, but you're just pushing and driving straight, right, as hard as you can. And so what that does for a guy who's a lineman, he gets really good at generating power from a standstill. And that shows up in his tape, because he comes in with that low center of gravity, that pad level. He's really good at attacking the leverage, and he drives the defenders the way he wants to. You notice that as soon as if he needs to spread a guy, shoot a guy outside, he's going to attack that inside shoulder, and he's going to immediately flip his hips the way he wants him going, and he's going to attack his leverage backwards, try to get him off balance, and he finishes. And every block on his tape, he finishes the block through. And when I say finish, it's like it's just drive through the block until the play's over. And if you're driving your guy to the 50-yard line from the goal line, you need to do it. That's what people like to see, because you don't want that guy to get back into play. So Marcus Garcia is another guy I'm excited about. And then and I think I think all these guys are visiting in April that I mentioned right here. Dillard Allen, he's from Phoenix, so he's from my neck of the woods out here. Dual sport track athlete, safety, 6 foot, 165, a little smaller, but ASU, of course, is going to be right now they're the percentage favorite to land him, but of course, getting him to campus will be the biggest thing there. But I wasn't able to find a lot of film on him just yet. And then Keelan Abrams, linebacker. Well, they have him listed as an edge on 24/7, but he's 6 foot, 195, so he would be a much kind of smaller edge. I think he's going to be a hybrid linebacker. He's from DeSoto, so more of these Texas, guys. They, 3 of the guys that are visiting in April are from the state of Texas. So the ties that Rule has to Texas are really starting to show and get some momentum. But Kylan Abrams, he explodes off the line. He's one of those guys that, like I said, he's undersized for an edge rusher. So what he makes up for it with is just actual, like, pure ability to be able to use spin moves and swims and rip throughs to be able to shed the blocks. And once he gets past the lineman, he's quick and he's able to just generate power and get around them. So, but his closeout speed is really good. And, he's going to burst past you instead of overpowering you, but really good play recognition. I think he's going to be a linebacker that can play a little bit, of a hybrid, maybe a jack or a rover type of deal where he's moving around just with his size and his speed, but also could bring him, down on some blitzes. So with that edge rush capability, and that's what's important. A lot of his film is him coming off the edge, which is going to help him when we do bring packages of linebacker blitzes and stuff like that. But right now, with Stephon Thompson being, 6'3", 6'4", and some of these edge rushers, Keona Wilhite being like 6'5", a lot of the edge rushers that they do have are bigger guys. So, and even some of those guys might stand up and play linebacker from time to time. So with him, I think he's going to be more of a linebacker hybrid with some kind of maybe defensive back slid in there. But, with 3-5, they're going to be moving these guys literally all over the map. So, but yeah, that's our April visitors. And then Chase Lofton's going to be visiting in March. And then Michael Terry's going to be visiting April 27th for the spring game. So lot to be excited about. And they're shooting big on these guys.